Easter eggs in predictions for season 7, episode 8 of Marvel's Agents of Shield's Beware Spoiler Not Caught Up. So the episode's title was After Before, which was most likely referring to like the different time like periods that they're in, I guess, because you had the Zephyr one jumping random periods in time forward, whereas May and Yo-Yo were basically stuck in 1983 with Jiaying in Afterlife and all that kind of stuff. So it's most likely referring to the bouncing back and forth to that, but also referring to like the beginning of this episode where we were seeing the other side of what was happening last episode with Deacon Mac, but with the Zephyr One crew and whatnot. So yeah, it's most likely referring to stuff like that. But before we actually get into the actual episode itself, behind the scenes, there's some like cool little connections, like reunions of sorts, with certain actors, and that is with Ming Na Wen, who plays May, and Byron Mann, who played Lee. They actually both were in the most like a popular movies called Street Fighter. I don't know if they were actually enemies or not, or if they were friends. But if they were enemies, it might be like a cool little thing that they decided to make them enemies in this show because they weren't too friendly in this episode. So yeah, but another connection was with the actress who plays Korra, because the actor who plays Korra named Diane Dawn was a part of the Descendants franchise that appears on Disney Channel, and in those movies she actually plays Mulan's daughter. So pairing her up with having like in the storyline with Yo-Yo and May uh, is really cool because Ming-Na Wen voices Mulan, so it's a little cool connection there. And the one that actually never actually appeared on screen yet, I'm assuming at some point later on in the season we will see it, but the actor who plays Susa and the actress who plays Jiaying both appeared in a show called Dollhouse, which was created by Josh Whedon and had episodes written by Jed Whedon and Marissa Tantron, who are the creators of this show. So behind the scenes, there is like a sort of reunions, just not on screen yet for them. But I'm assuming they're gonna do it at some point. So I don't know if I'm the only one that actually felt this way when I first saw when they first saw it, but when the logo popped up for this episode, it reminded me of Tron, and Tron came out in 1982. So the beginning of this episode did take place in 1982, and then it jumped to 1983. So it's possible that's where the person who created this logo for this episode took inspiration from, but I'm not sure if anyone else had thought of that. It just, to me, that was my first thought process seeing that logo. I don't know why exactly. But the big part of this episode is Yo-Yo's power, dealing with Yo-Yo's powers that's been going on throughout this season, and she's still going with the theory that the strike took her powers after going through into her from the finale of last season. So they decided to go to Afterlife because uh, Daisy says that since they're in 1983, Jiaying will be there helping the Inhumans, and she's the best person to help you go through and help you figure out what's going on with her powers. So Yo-Yo and May head out. They use the Quinjet to get there. While on there, Yo-Yo and May have a conversation saying, Yo-Yo asks, wasn't she a murderer? And May replies, only after Hydra cut her to pieces and had left her for dead, which we saw in season 2, episode 8. And then May says, the last time Jiaying saw Quinjet, she started a war, which is referring to obviously the season finale of season 2. But she had already started the war before she actually used the Quinjet. No one knew about it exactly. But yeah, and like I said, uh, Yo-Yo's going with the whole strike theory of why her powers are gone, and May and Yo-Yo are trying to come up with a cover story of exactly what's going on. And she basically just says an alien bird flew into her mouth from the future, and it was called May suggests maybe not telling them the whole truth, exactly what happens. So yeah, and then we have the reintroduction to another character from season two, and this I'm just gonna get it out of the way here. This episode feels like the most nostalgic episode uh, so far this season, especially considering we've been time traveling and meeting old faces and old names or whatever from previous seasons. But this season, or this episode, going to afterlife and all that kind of stuff, seeing the or like the familiar sets and all that kind of stuff. It was so nostalgic for me. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but it felt like that to me. So yeah, we get reintroduced to young Gordon because in 1983 he did originally get his powers. So this is after the fact, and so he has his powers, teleporting powers with no eyes or whatever. But it is a recast. It's not the same actor that we saw young Gordon at in season 2 episode 11. I don't exactly know what the reason why they recast him. I'm assuming it's probably because of the age, but I don't know. They could have. I don't know if they could have gotten away with making him still look younger than what he was. What he was in here now. So yeah, if that makes sense. So Yo-Yo and Yo-Yo and Jiang are talking, and they're like not Jiang's not convinced that Yo-Yo is telling the like this the truth. So they decided to test her to see if she actually is an inhuman or not. So they bring out the diviner that was a big part of season 2, and saying that humans die if they touch it, and Yo-Yo just grabs it and just it wasn't activating, and people the was called Jiang and Lee were shocked to see that nothing was happening, and she had to confirm that, oh yeah, I'm wearing prosthetics. So she touches the diviner with her cheek, and it starts glowing, and it's most likely not intentional or not, but it was kind of funny or kind of cool to me that the way that Yo-Yo had to touch her cheek with the diviner in front of Jiang, it reminded me of when Whitehall forced Jiang to, or Hydra forced Jiang to touch the diviner with her cheek. I know it's not. It's just a really weird detail. It's not important or anything, but yeah. Uh, and we get a similar scene to from season 2 where Yo-Yo's getting acupuncture, just like how Daisy got her acupuncture in season 2 episode 16, when she was going through transitioning and becoming like used to the whole afterlife like community that they were in. She was in at the time. So yeah, and like there's Jiang's still not convinced, but she Yo-Yo tells her that she doesn't know exactly where the strike basically came from, but it killed a close friend of hers, and she's referring to Keller from season 6, episode 4, when he started crystallizing and stretching and whatnot. It's whatnot and stuff, and then we had this like very quick glimpse of a bridge, and that's the same bridge that Reina was killed in season 2, episode 21. I don't know exactly what the reason why they had a random shot of the bridge, but it reminded me of when Jiang killed Reina. Uh, and then you have Jiang. She suggests to Yo-Yo and May that May's powers could help guide Yo-Yo through a spiritual journey through memory lane, basically. So she suggests that they should basically do a meditation thing, and right as it starts, basically, uh, May says this is literally my worst nightmare, and that is actually a true statement because in we actually see this actually happen basically in season 4 episode 11 when she was stuck in the framework by Radcliffe and whatnot. He actually put her in a spa, and she wasn't relaxing, and she would wanted to escape. So she just kept going again and again and again, and she just hated it. So it is technically her worst nightmare. And a little cool detail is that in the beginning of the scene, a bell is chiming, and it's the exact same bell if I remember correctly from that episode of season 4 episode 11. So just it reminded me of that. So yeah, it's really her worst nightmare. So Yo-Yo's going through memory lane, but the way that they did this is that it goes actually calls back to that episode as well, because after Radcliffe found out that the spa is not working for her, she needed someone to fight to calm her down. So May in this episode suggests if we need physical contact, let's basically do sparring. Let's fight and maybe wakes something in you that remind you of something and help us in this situation. So yeah, but going through memory lane, we obviously see the glimpse of the Shrike going into Yo-Yo's mouth from season 6 episode 13, which is the one that she's thinking that's the reason why. The death of Ruby that she killed in season 5 episode 18, where she and May asks, do you feel guilty about this and whatnot? But then the one that really caught me off guard was Tess from season 5 episode 6, because Yo-Yo in that scene in that episode wasn't in that scene where Tess was revealed to be dead. So I don't understand why they used that clip for her, especially considering she wasn't in that scene. The only explanation I can think of why she would have basically guilt or something for Tess's death is because she is basically what caused her to die in the first place. Because if she didn't save Flint, then her Tess wouldn't have died. But I would have probably preferred Tess, if Tess was going to be in these flashbacks, they would have used Tess as the coming back to life one, where she was used or the Kree used their blood to bring her back to life. I would have preferred that one because Yo-Yo was actually in that scene. So yeah. And we get a little glimpse of what's going on with Coulson after being stuck in the TV for over a year, and he does really feel very different. I don't know exactly where they're gonna go with it, but he felt very different than he was when we first saw him appear as being the superhero LMD indestructible person at the beginning of this season. So I don't know where they're gonna go with it now. So yeah, but you have the team jumping through time, and Sousa's basically getting prepared. If they have to leave the Zephyr, they will leave. So he's going to go get some parachutes ready so they can all just jump out. And Simmons is helping him, and he asks her, "Have you ever jumped out of an airplane before?" She replies, "Twice. Only had a parachute the second time," which was referring to season 1 episode 6 when she sacrifices herself because of the Chitauri virus she had, and then in season 5 episode 17 when her and Fitz jumped out of the plane during their honeymoon type of episode. So yeah. And then you have Sousa basically apologizing to her for being basically a jerk to her earlier on in the season. And then you have, going back to May and Yo-Yo, you have her basically reveal what went wrong, what happened to her as a child, where apparently her father was mixed up with some bad people, and I don't know where if they're gonna go and explore this any further, because her father from the comics is Jim Horton, and he's been referenced before in previous seasons. Episode 1 season 1 episode 18 and season 4 episode 18 in the framework or whatever. So I don't know, since they've showed a little time, I don't know if they're going to explore this, but they've teased them so many times. I've been wanting to actually see the character of the Griffin in the show, but I don't know if they're going to do this anymore. So, but yeah, during this flashback scene, we actually see young cousin Yo-Yo's cousin as a young child, Francisco, and he was introduced in season 3 episode 11, and he was a big part of the whole spin-off like digital series that Yo-Yo got, Slingshot, where she was going to get revenge on the guy that killed uh, Francisco. So yeah, but we also see a little like glimpse of the hot potato necklace that was a big part of that season 3 arc, which uh, ended up having Lincoln sacrifice himself in the finale of the season. So it's nice that they found a way to explain why exactly Yo-Yo has this necklace, so, and where she got it from. So yeah, and uh, May finds out exactly what's been going on with Korra, Jiaying, and all that kind of stuff, and you you have uh, Lee find out that Korra stole a gun, and they think Jiaying and Lee think that they took this gun for because they think or they think that she thinks that they're going to like basically hurt her and like shoot her or whatever, basically, but that's not actually the case because May actually has experience with people that cannot control their powers because of Sky from season 3 or season 2 episode 12, where Daisy was scared that she was going to hurt someone, so she decided to hurt herself. So in here, she what's called, you have Korra here. She was going to kill herself, so she didn't have to kill any or hurt anyone else. And just before she was about to shoot the gun off, the gun started quaking, and it resembles whenever Daisy obviously quakes her quakes guns, but also in season 2 episode 12, she actually by accidentally quakes a gun. So it's kind of a cool callback to when Daisy first got her powers, whereas Nathaniel got very good control of his powers here. So yeah, and you have this like little scene with Simmons making a video for Fitz, so if he ever finds it, he can watch or whatever. But she says that she has lost contact with him after rescuing the team at Isol's temple, and it's possible that the reason that is the case is because this whole like time travel aspect probably is what's the reason, is because wherever Fitz is, it's possible that they did not know that this would happen, like losing losing contact, but it's possible once they went back in time and changed the outcome of the temple where the team had died in the original timeline and now is saved. They weren't expecting certain like events to take place after the fact, so they weren't expecting it to completely change. So something might have happened to Fitz that we're just not known about yet, that we will be revealed later on in the season. But just like how when the time loop changed from season 5, the events for Fitz completely changed. He was supposed to go to the future and whatnot in 1982, but once the time loop changed, his ship got attacked instead, and then that's why Simmons and Daisy had a hard time trying to track down Fitz all of last season. So the events of the future, the timeline changed, so it's possible that once they went back in time, wherever Fitz is, the place where he isn't safe anymore. So that's where I'm thinking that's why they lost contact. So yeah, but she references all the times that they basically were been separated, saying that space time hasn't stopped us before. And then the only other last reference is of Deke basically trying to recruit Enoch to be the drummer for the Deke Squad, since he has no drummer anymore because he was killed. But yeah, and for predictions, I have some of them. But at the end of this episode, you have Nathaniel and Cora basically attacking the lighthouse and kidnapping all the rest of the humans. And Nathaniel says that they're going to cause anarchy, and it's a possibility that they're referring to a character in the comics who is called Anarchy, and she has no actual real name as far as I've seen. So it's possible that Cora could be this character of Anarchy, and she's a part of this group called the Ultimatum, and it's a terrorist group organization devoted to bringing an end to all nations. So it's possible that's where they're gonna go with the whole distributing powers to different people and take giving just destroying afterlife's world. So yeah, it's possible that's where they're gonna go with this whole chorus storyline. I don't know if that's will be the case, but it's a possibility. And I don't know if this is also them just tricking us or whatever, but I don't technically still believe it. But there's been a big fan theory going around that Sousa will be the cop from the Avengers, because the actor who plays Sousa did appear in the Avengers in 2012 as a cop. So it's possible now, that more likely that they are going to go that way, because in this episode Simmons gave him a new prosthetic leg, so he's no limping anymore. So it's a possibility that the cop that we see in Avengers is Sousa that we've been following, and he gets dropped off there and helps out the from the Chitauri invasion. And like I mentioned before, is that we haven't seen a reunion for Sousa and Jiaying, and I still think it's obviously gonna. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but I do think Jiaying will obviously return, because of the way that they left off this episode, where we're gonna contact you when we can, and you can we can help you, whatever. But yeah, and I'm not gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen in the next episode, but I do think somehow Fitz is involved in sending the team where they're going, or somewhat, because like I said in this episode that she made Simmons made a video for Fitz, and it's possible that he found it and somehow got control of the Zephyr 1, but not realizing that it's so broken that he probably should not have taken control of it. But in doing so, it caused the team to go where they're going next by mistake. I don't think he did it, obviously, if it is true, I don't think he did it intentional, but it's possible. And if that is the case, that he was trying to send them to his location or whatever, I don't think we won't see Fitz until the very, very end of this upcoming episode. I don't think he's gonna be obviously in the beginning of this episode, of the upcoming episode, but it's a possibility that he will be at the very, very end of the episode, if he was trying to bring Zephyr 1 to him. So yeah, comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references, and if you have any predictions for the upcoming episode. See ya.